So yeah, I'm sorry, my computer just shut off. Yeah, sorry, y'all. Let me- Alright, so yeah, I was like, mm, USD JPY. I must skip over looking at that. So look at this. It's just like how I spoke price. So far, it's moving without me. Oh, a waiting game. If we can still get like a clean move, like down, because it still has a chance to make a setup. So if it can make a clean move down, just at least close to that 50, or when it starts to look more closer to that 20, like it starts to catch up more, then it starts to build that setup. I would like it way better. They, they, I was looking if there was gonna be something from a challenge perspective for, for different time frames, because it's so much easier when I trade them separately. That's why I'm trying to look at it a different time frame perspective because of how time frames work when you pair them together. Like, for example, there is some basically good opportunities for a challenge trade. So we had a nice move down basically because I basically already know like the 1 hour it's in a good cycle basically. Let me see, 1 hour. Yeah, we ended up flushing and we started to make that move higher. And if you look at the validation, nice clean flush against the MAs. Flush right here, one, two. This is probably like the third one. And basically, Euro USD specifically, like it created two good. No, not this one. It broke through the MA right here. But right here is a good entry for my challenge. I don't really count it for the live streams because I just be switching time frames and stuff like that. Because it's just whatever. Because I know this stuff works on every time frame when you just trade it. But you know, something like that. I might miss it low key because I ain't even fast enough. It might just set up because if it moves without me, it moves without me because I'm not really pressed about it. Yeah, I'm not even really pressed about it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah, USD. My stop would probably be something like that. Let me verify what it should be. Cause it's holding up the 10 right here. Um, I don't have. That's weird. 11. 7, oh, oh, wrong account, wrong account. Let's see, what's this gonna be? I'm trying to find like a good risk point. Actually, this is taking a bit long to set up. Yeah, it's taking a bit long to set up. Interesting. Okay, set that goes to clean. Where's this challenge? Mm, where we are. Trying to make sure it's a good, really good decision. Actually, nah, I'm gonna skip on that one because it's like it. Let me pause right here. Yeah, I'm gonna skip out on this one. It's taking too long to set up. For a challenge perspective, I wasn't ever thinking about that for funded accounts. But from a challenge perspective, that one was taking way too long to set up. And then the fact that it's doing this right here, where it's re-dropping back down, I only like it when it just move down, we create the setup, and we go instantly. Create the setup, go. It can give you like two opportunities, but as long as it's just moving in line to just go, and it's not trying to play around, and that's what I like to see. So far, specifically for my entry time frame right here on the 5, uh, see where the see where the 10 is. 'Cause I want it close to the 50, so it's not close to the 50, so it's probably not near the 10. You can just see how far it is. Not even close. It's just top by the 20. So I basically just want that move down. It has to be like a clean move down. It can't be like a choppy move down. It's just little stuff like that, little refinements. Little refinements you do over time. And discipline is all about just recognizing that the process is just gonna lead to what you want. Because if you don't follow the process, it's just gonna take longer. That's all it is. Like if this was printing like after it came a bit closer to that 50 or flushed under and it created this as just pausing nicely. This is an example where I would set like a buy stop above this high right here. But this is an example of my entry setup printing, but me not taking it because it's not in line with what I want to see basically. So that's an example of me ignoring um an entry setup. It doesn't mean it can't work, but I'm waiting for something specific. And then if you end up seeing it work and you want to add it to your trading, what you should do is have a back test where you're just taking those type of setups and see how they play out. Because you can't what something I used to do as well is, and a lot of traders do, is they will see something work for one trade, and then because that trade worked, they would change their like literally everything based on that one trade and for their next trade in just because it worked. And yeah, they will end up losing the next trade, and then it will go down the spiral because they don't trust it. Because like I say, everything you do, every decision should be based on the data. So if I'm trading something I don't know, like even though we trade based on data, we don't particularly know like if the trade will play out. Like I don't know if I take a trade, I don't know if it's really going to play out or not. But what I do know is if I execute the rules over time, it's going to make money. That's what I do know. But so when you're taking something out of your data, you definitely don't know what the long run is going to do. So you don't have confidence in it. So whenever you take that setup out of line and it doesn't work, you're not gonna trust it, and then your mindset, your psychology is gonna be all over the place. It's a nice tip. So instead, it's better to just test. That's all. It's better just test. And it may seem like you're not doing much work and like trading is boring, but that's a good thing. Trading is boring. Because think about it like this: while you are sitting back, waiting patiently for your setup, there's going to be a lot of people that are just trading everything and anything out of line, out of their plan, and they're going to be losing money, blowing accounts, doing all that while you're just patiently sitting back for what you tested and what you gained the experience from. And don't get me wrong, you can wait your a week, 2 weeks depending on the time frame you trade and stuff like that and other factors and still take a loss. But always remember, like during your back testing, like especially if you were a higher time frame trader, you may have waited like 2 months, 3 months just to take a loss. But you kept trading it and overall produced profit. Because it's time for us to like stop thinking in the short term as well. It's time for us to actually think like, how can we gain more capital, stuff like that. Just how can we treat this more as a business? Those are the questions we got to ask ourselves because we're so focused on, well, I only have this amount of money, so I have to risk more and over leverage. But with doing so, you're just gonna be most likely consistently turning $100 to zero instead of thinking like, okay, if I can prove there's companies out there like the prop firms or like said earlier in the stream, they have Darwin X where when you're trading with a track record, over time they give you capital based on that track record. So you can think in the long term by, okay, when you focus on the process, developing your system and all that, you know, getting into that track record, doing that. So in the long run, investors can come to you and you're trading with their capital and stuff like that, and that can fund um more money for you. So certain that's like certain plans I have too as well, because I'm with on Darwin Next. I just started. I had signed up years ago, but I didn't really take it seriously because I was mainly like I didn't see the point because they it was like prop firms, but then I was like this year I was like, maybe it does make sense because it really does make sense because you can gain like a lot of capital when you just prove yourself you have a long term track record. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna sign up with them so I can potentially like as I'm growing it year by year, these investors can see that and then I can get extra funds on top of the prop firms. 'Cause if you think about it like this, there's some traders on there that has like 30 million in real investor capital on there. So, if they're trading consistently, you know, and they're doing it, and I know I can trade consistently, then it's a no-brainer that if I just put in the work, I can get there as well. And you'd be surprised when you watch these traders too, they're not here trying to get like this 300% a year. You know, the like to even get the track record, most of them are even looking for like even 1% a month is still considered good, but 2 to 5%, like the average traders around there is probably like 2% a month. And if you'd be surprised, sometimes I even see them have like a small down year, but overall it's probably like averaging 2% a month. Because 2% a month doesn't mean 2% January, 2% February, 2% March. Like it doesn't work like that. Because now you're thinking about trading like a job. You want to be paid every month, every every time, every week, all that. When it's more like, okay, you may have 3 months of drawdown, you might have like 2 months of drawdown, those type of things. And then you might have a really good month, and then you may have a break even month, and then a small month, maybe like 2%. So it's basically all over the place. But overall, for the year, you should expect overall profit and stuff like that. That's like so it's like so sometimes you can get like a 7% month, 2%, 3% break even, losing, losing, losing. But it's about what you do during those times and stuff like that to just keep following the system. So once price like basically takes out this high, I'm no longer interested in this area, and I would have to wait again on this 30-minute time frame for basically just the same thing. So it's just these fractal breaks of structure that pauses against the 10 or the 20, which is the black or red line for that setup I'm waiting for. And if I don't get that, price can either move without me or it can end up failing. And you just got to remember, failure of analysis does not equal execution on your trade. And that's very important because a lot of people are focused on their analysis and they got to be right with their analysis and stuff like that. But that's not that's not what makes you money 100% of the time. Because if my analysis here fails, right, and then I didn't have a confirmation to take the trade, then I didn't lose money. But now, if my analysis plays out in line with everything and it ends up playing out, I could potentially make a lot more money. Or, I could take just a break even or loss. Those are things I keep in mind as well. I don't expect every single trades. I don't expect my trades to win at all because I already know my win rate. I already know I win 30% of the time. So me to expect my trades to win, you know, it doesn't make sense. But I do know what will happen if I just follow the rules. But basically, yeah, what I'm waiting for is, so if price ends up taking this high, it's just the same thing. So like just a pause against the 10 or 20 and then wait for the setup on the lower time frame. And I have to also see what price is doing in that area. Is it making a straight move down to the 50, then creating the setup, or is it consolidating for a long time, then moving down? Those are the things I want to ask myself. And that's what I basically call context of the market. And the good thing I like about my setup is I can really take risk off the table extremely quickly. Um, like your management is always based on the type of trader you are, like the type of setups, because different setups work differently. So me coming up to a trader and say I break even really quickly. Another trader may disagree with that, but you have to keep in mind we all don't trade the same entry, and different entries are going to work differently. So for example, if this setup happened where I wanted it to, like if it's close to the 50, then it started making that move up and pausing just like that, my stop loss would be somewhere like right here. I started testing smaller stops because of what I reviewed during, like, with all my back testing in my journal, is most of my good entries, right? What they do is they impulse up, right? And I can break even at either a 1-to-1 or a quick like structural move. And basically my good entry usually just moves. It usually just moves, and then the MAs will start to slope up like this for a trend. It usually just moves. So if I notice that most of my winners are doing that, and I compare that to my losses, what do my most of my losses do it? Because it wouldn't make sense for me to break even quick if I notice most of also my losses they impulse up and then they just shoot back down like or they don't, my winners don't really complete. Like I noticed this right here. So if most of my losers, what they're gonna look like is they're gonna maybe do that, and then they're gonna play around the entry, and then they're gonna completely fail down. If you, usually if I take one trade in one area, it's usually gonna completely fail down, or it's just not gonna be doing anything, and there's really nothing to do. So me break even quickly is taking risk off the table while increasing my upside because now the type of management that I've been testing recently is just holding the trade until price just breaks the 10 EMA, which is that's black line. So basically, if I take a trade, I hold it until it breaks it, but the break has to happen at least at a 2R or above. So what this does is if price ends up pushing higher and higher and higher, right? I could potentially get the 2, 3, 4, 5. Because what I'm doing is I'm increasing my upside while limiting my downside, which is basically where my edge comes from. I Since I don't win a lot, I get an edge by just trying to get a potential runner with rules. So it doesn't necessarily mean like I'm coming in here trying to get a 1 to 10 and stuff like that, but I'm here trailing. If price ends up closing and it happens to be at a 2 or above, based on my entry, right, I'm gonna close it. So it's basically just a new type of management I've been just testing and stuff like that. There's so many ways to manage your trading, but there's not a specific way that is wrong. Just remember that all types of management is gonna have advantages and disadvantages and stuff like that. And you can test them and see which one you like the best, which one is going to make you the most money, a long term, of course, and then you can just go with that. It can't. It doesn't have to be complicated because my system may seem complicated, but it's not complicated at all. It's just using multi time frames to decide where I am and just looking for a buy stop of basically fractal structure, and then having a small stop managing on quickly for potential runners. So if this was basically the setup happening right here. Now there's gonna be times where price tags you at break even, and then it may just go. But with my testing, it doesn't happen that often where it just goes after that. But you have to be aware those things can happen. But it's about what you do. But you got to think about, does it does is it breaking even an advantage or disadvantage to you? Because if you notice during your testing, most of your trades even like they if you break even like that and it tags you out and they go, then it doesn't make sense for you to break even so quick or break even at all. But I noticed that would save me an exceptional amount of losses, but it's also going to increase my break even rate. But think about that. If my break even rate is very high, my win rate is 30%, then my loss rate is lower. So and you're looking to get involved with a trend. Now that's how you create, like, that's what is an edge. But an edge can mean multiple things. Like if you find a strategy where you can consistently get like one to ones, but you have a higher win rate. But you have to make sure the system that you're trading actually can allow you to get those one to ones. It's just because you move your RR closer doesn't mean you're going to be more profitable. Because if you ever, if you just try to just randomly trade a one to one, long term you're probably just gonna end up at break even or losing trader because you don't have any context on what you're doing. All right, so we took out the high right here, like I talked about. So now it's just a waiting game again. So all my live trading is about is just being patient, waiting for your setup, and executing on what you tested. That's all it is. So what I'm basically waiting for is this candle, this candle to close, right? It took out this high right here. And basically what I'm waiting is for price to drop down, like I said, to either the 10 or the 20 and create the setup, which is probably gonna take like, so it's gonna be like, and this dog loud. I wonder if y'all can hear it, but um wait for this to close. So that's 10 because this took out that high. So I need another candle to basically pause before taking out the previous candle's high. So the reason why I was waiting at this area was because this candle paused before taking out the previous candle's high. So I'm basically waiting for the same thing. So the next candle will print and yeah, come down. So it's basically like around 10:30. I gotta see what where did it print. There's a lot of waiting game, and it's just my personal system. You don't like it's just the way I trade. There's so many ways to trade. It doesn't mean nobody's wrong. Because most of the times you're gonna find a way where if I take an entry, maybe it was similar to your entry, or in the same area as your entry, or it may be different from somebody else's entry, but you can still find a way to make money. It's not really necessarily the strategy. If you find a way where your strategy is optimized to very like have a huge advantage, then you can really do good. But you can still just like start off at a foundation, and the foundation can be like even if you just end up making like 6% for the year or 10% as a foundation, then that's really good because now you have data to build off of that. So now what can you do better? What can you improve on? And was there on certain trades that you could have stayed out of, or was there a way to stay in the move like longer for a potential runner to make more profit? And then you test that and see, and then consistently just do that. Was there a way to optimize it where you're basically looking at a basket of markets, but you're only trading it if it looks like this? Because a lot of traders they will see that, oh, I don't want to make 6% for the year. But think about it. If you can do that, you already beat like I think it's around like 90% of traders, right? And now you can build off of that and do better because only 98%, I believe, are actually successful, or they're making a lot of money, and that's where I'm trying to get. So if you can at least like climb the ladder to get to that 90, like you're not in that 90% and you have that foundation, now you can build off the data. That's why I document my journey, just trying to show the whole process because it's a long term thing. Because think about it, that trading is really like a high paying skill, so you gotta actually think about the long term. Because there's so much, like if you really look at the the pro traders, like how much they're trading, like hundreds of millions. That's the point that like if that's what you're looking for, you might as well take it more seriously. Actually journal your trades, actually study on what's going on, what moves you should probably stay out of. But remember this, staying out of particular moves doesn't mean you're trying to avoid the loss. It just means you're just trying to optimize um your strategy for like what makes sense. Because what makes sense for me is like when I do this multi-time frame analysis on what I think is the cycle, um, it makes sense for me to execute based on what I tested at these areas because it provides an advantage for me personally. But yeah, so there's always be a filtering process. Like you come to my streams, I could quickly look at a market and be like, oh, I'm not gonna trade that market at all because it's not in line with what I see am used to seeing. Yes, that's gonna mean I'm taking less trades, but it is gonna guarantee that I'm like, just following my rules. That's all that matters to me. Like even social media can mess up your mindset when it comes to trading as well. Like if you've been on social media, like all you can see, it seems like everybody is winning trades during this time. Like everybody's talking about Trump and stuff like that. I don't usually use fundamentals and everything because I see what's happening in the price, but a lot of people are. It seems like everybody's winning, but at the same time, that's not really true because most of the people online they mostly show when they're winning. It's not often where somebody's consistently showing every single win and loss. They maybe show a loss occasionally, but most of the time it feels better in the human mind to just show the winning. That's true. Sometimes I'd be like, yeah, I want to show just my win, but that's why I started showing the live trading because a lot of people need to understand that it's not just wins. Losses are actually good, depending on what type of loss it is too. Losses are actually good because it makes up your system. Your system just doesn't go up. Nobody wins 100% of the time. So it depends on what type of loss you're taking. If you're taking a good loss, and a good loss is just a simple loss that was according to your system, and you took it, but it ended up losing. A bad loss is just simply a loss where it can either be a loss where it was not in your plan, or it could have just been better, or you could have managed, or you could have there was something you could have did better, or you made a mistake. Those are like bad losses because you could have did better from them. But a lot of traders make it seem like, oh, when you take a loss, you specifically did something wrong. But it's not all the time you could have did something wrong, and that's why I recommend you journal and you write down so you can figure out whether you did something wrong or whether the loss was just a part of the game. Because you can't just be taking losses as well, a lot of losses, and you're just trading and trading, and you're just saying every single loss is just a part of the game. is it really just a part of the game based on your plan, or are you saying that to basically make yourself feel better? So you have to figure out, is the loss really a part of the game, or is there a mistake that you really made? And I already talked about my January. There was mistakes I made that I could have did better. So I ended up basically fixing that. So I had a -2% for January. That was the first month of drawdown. So what I could have did better was simply like my entries basically for my buy stop. I didn't account for spreads. So some of them there was like three entries that got me in early because of spread, and I ended up losing them. But I cut the loss early though, but it was still something that could have been avoided. And then there was a time in January where one of my winner trades, it was a good winner. I accidentally risked half of that than I normally risk because I use a copy trader. So I didn't realize it was actually a little bit different. And then I ended up making when I won the trade, I made like half. So it really wasn't enough to cover my losses. So that on top of my normal losses as well, and then some break evens, it just ended up in an overall 2% month, which I could have did better. Then February, I didn't take any trades because nothing was in line with my plan. And then March, I just started with like just a small 0.5% loss. I think yeah, it was 0.5% overall loss in March. And then April, I think I'm trying to remember, but it's somewhere in the stream. I think it's either a break even or a small loss, either one of those. So it's one of those. It's just like you gotta understand, even though it is seeming like a long time, you have to notice the strengths of your strategy as well. So the one of the strengths of my strategy is really um basically as long as I follow the plan, it's really easy to come out of drawdown based on the way that I'm waiting for a specific moment that that allows me to get a trend. So basically, potentially the way how I manage my trades, where I'm either closing at 2R or above, can easily wipe out all my losses in just one trade. And I'm just basically positioning myself and where where is likely to make that move, basically based on multi confluences. So that's just the advantage, and you got to realize just the strengths of it. And a lot of traders don't even want to hear that as well. They just want to feel like they're doing they want to feel like they want to win all the time. And it's just you're not gonna win all the time. And if you can't understand that, you're always gonna be just making psychological mistakes because if if you feel like if you don't want to accept your winners, you're just gonna be holding on to the losses. You know, being wrong is actually not completely a bad thing because when you're wrong, you did something bad, if you did something bad, you can learn from it. But if you did something, if it was a part of your plan, then it's just fueling your system. That's all it is. Think about your like as long as you follow your plan, think about your trading will look like will look like the gold market basically. On a huge uptrend, you're gonna have some losses, break evens. You're gonna even have some drawdowns. But are you gonna stick to your plan? Because a lot of people when they're looking to make changes on their system, they think they have to switch their system completely. Well, that's not true. Like if you want to make some changes, you can make small tweaks over time based on your data, but it doesn't mean you have to change your system completely. Because over time you're gonna see me refining. You're gonna see me refining, but I'm gonna talk about my refinement, to make it clear and stuff like that. But just know it's always gonna be based on data because that's the only thing that's gonna help my psychology. Like I understand that a lot of people may think trading books will help your psychology. I read trading books. They're good, but it's not necessarily gonna help your psychology. Because think about it, how many people have sat down and watched like a psychology YouTube video, a psychology book, but most people, I'm not saying 100% of people, but most people they end up still making the same mistakes, and that just comes down to they don't have trust in their system. And how do you get trust in your system? It's just by actually having the data behind your system to actually trade it. And most people, if you ask them, do you have at least 100 trades in your back test on what you look for? Most people will say no. And most people don't want to do that work because it's a lot of work and they just want to get into making money. Think about it. Like if you actually focused on the process and did that instead of focusing on trying to trade right now, you probably would have been better, way better off because one, you're saving more money because you're actually trying to get the skill set first, which means it's not like you're gonna be just blowing and blowing and blowing accounts because now you're trying to develop an understanding first before you make decisions. So now you're gonna be way better off than someone who's just trying to blow the account. I'm not saying that they're doing it on purpose, but it's all down to they don't understand their system. They don't understand their win rate. They don't understand their drawdown periods. They don't understand completely what they're looking for. They're they're just changing based on what the market is, what the previous trade did, basically. And the worst thing too is the fact that you can trade like forex with smaller amounts of money because now YouTube with all that is like we just have flipping videos and flipping videos like even if you are like a very good trader, flipping videos they do have downsides and a lot of traders don't show the downsides because when you to flip an account you have to use high risk. Yes, you can do it, but for the long term, if you want to do this as a business and stuff like that, it's always going to end up with the account getting blown because of how probabilities work and how losses work and stuff like that. So it's best to manage risk, even with the funded accounts as well. But it's more better. It's better because it's with a there's better risk to reward. Because if you think about it, with the funded accounts, our drawdown, say we have $100,000 account, our drawdown is only 10,000, which means that even if you're risking 1%, you're basically risking 10% per trade because they're only allowing you to trade to the 100, the 10,000. But the good thing about it is just the fee that you pay because it's not even if you end up losing it, it's not really much as well. So even if you end up like, as long as you follow your rules, even if you end up blowing a funded account and you was actually trading it seriously, you followed your plan, and you ended up blowing it. It doesn't, you can't really beat yourself down or feel like you're a bad trader because even if even good traders end up losing accounts because think about it, it's still like a high risk to compared to the drawdown they actually give you. And another thing is like if you even look at like some good traders on drawdown periods, some of them even have 10 to 20% drawdowns too. But that's just their risk style. You can have lower drawdown ratios. Whew, I've been talking about just waiting because I never really expect to get a trade. Like I just show up, do and just do the work. If I'm gonna get a trade, I'm gonna get a trade. If not, I'm not. So basically, just noticing this. So this candle ran this high right here. So I'll get basically gotta wait even more. So basically, what I'm noticing is, okay, we got this high right here, and like I said, I need one more candle to print before taking out the previous candle high that can like at least come down to the 10 or 20. So I have to wait for this candle to close in the next like 20 minutes, and then I have to wait for another 30-minute candle because we're on a 30-minute time frame. So that's just how I just implement some patience to wait for the actual setup. And the way how it looks, it just, yeah, just gotta wait. Nothing to do. And then if I look at the something like USD JPY, I didn't want to trade this because it's in this long range. I'm not used to trading like based on me looking back at my data, I'm not really used to trading these longer term ranges like this. But it does, even though it does look clean, I just said I was gonna just skip out of it. If I wanna trade it in the future, I'm gonna just test it, just these type of moves, see if it works nicely because the structure is still happening. It's just in a longer, what's it called, outside range. Because all of this is inside structure right here. To me, it's inside structure, in my opinion. Because I look from structure from left to right. That's why. So price made this low and then it broke higher, broke this yeah, broke this high. Then it had this low to this high. So even though I could see the inside structure clearly. So basically, like even this was a potential setup. It came close to the 50. Did it it didn't even make an opportunity though. So that's why how you got to be honest with yourself. Even if this was on like showing like a clear structural move, it didn't give an opportunity here either way. It just came and then just went. But what I'm waiting for is basically a whole new range. So a new range is basically gonna be actually created in a little bit. If price can end up breaking this low right here, it would have created a new range because now we're taking out the low, and then the high would probably be updated to, let me see. I think the high would be updated to, let me see. Yeah, the high would be updated right here. If price can end up breaking right now, and then at that point, I'll be comfortable with like, okay, now I can potentially look for something. So USD JPY is actually looking clean too. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding stuff that look is starting to look clean, like if it can do what I'm expecting. So just in case one doesn't set up, I have a backup and stuff like that. Even though I make these backups, they don't always be like, okay, I will guarantee to get a trade because you can't guarantee you're gonna get a trade. You can't force anything. You just have to let the setup come to you. So that's what I'm basically looking for. What I could do is maybe I could just set like an alert right at the low right here. Um, yeah, I could do something like that. Yeah, on top of that, after it breaks that, let me see. Let me see what this time frame because we're moving good. So we this is exactly in line with what let me see. Actually, let me go on this time frame real quick. Just making sure I'm having some clarity whether this is some good structure. Okay, yeah. Because now, like when I zoom out of it, I can see like a clear consolidation right here, right? Clear range basically. Like, kind of like just moving sideways. Let me look at this structure right here. So we broke. In order for me to tell if something is in consolidation, what I usually do is I talk about it all like in every stream, but if the price is just breaking back and forth. So what we have is break lower, break lower, break lower, break higher, break lower, break lower, break lower, break higher. Interesting. Yeah. So what I can do is this can be like the breakout of this move. So basically when it pauses against that 10, I will only give it one chance to set up basically. And what do I mean by that? Basically it just needs to flush to that 50, create the setup and go. That's it. That's all I want to see. Because if it starts to play around in that area, that will be confirmation to me that this is probably still in a consolidation, and I don't want to be basically trading it. So that's how I would basically go about something like this right here. Because to me, consolidation is basically price does not know where it's going. Like it's just in one area, doesn't know where it's going, and it keeps just going back and forth, just at particular price area, not making it any really major expansion areas. It's just in the same range. See? So yeah, because we have a cycle going on right here, but I still got to pair it with what price is doing right now. Then I said that for gold, we're a bit like, to me, we're a bit like overextended. Like I feel like we can pause, create the fifth one, and then fail. Yeah. So because I'm expecting this pause creates the fifth one and it fails, I may ignore the fifth one. Why I may ignore it is because I'm looking to get involved in a potential runner, right? So it wouldn't be wise for me if I'm ending up like just trying to get right here. And you may ask, why don't I look for a potential reversal? Because price is on a heavy bullish trend, and it wouldn't be wise. It would be actually a disadvantage for my system personally to try to catch a reversal, because my advantage is just catching the potential overall trend. But yeah, yeah. Interesting. We're moving even more out of this area right here. So on the daily, so basically what we had is a bullish market. We're having this stage one right here. So we broke up, we broke down, we broke down, we broke up. We completed the distribution down where it's lower right here. So a distribution is basically when we have a clear move out of it. So a clear move out of it lower. So basically, we had the consolidation. We broke down, we broke a high for the purpose of re-breaking downwards on a daily time frame as the EMAs are starting to slope downwards out of this consolidation range. Prices down here for USD CAD, right? Now, as we drop down lower, let me actually refine this upwards, or just refine it to the low right here. I don't want prices really snap back into that low. What we have here is price creating a potential cycle as it's moving out of this overall consolidation on the daily time frame, which is really good. Um, what I can potentially see right here is we have a flush and we have a move away, which is a good thing because of the cycle. And it actually created some beautiful opportunities that I missed. Wait, actually, let me check on the lower time frame to see what the story was. Because just because it paused there, it doesn't mean and moved. Yeah, I wouldn't have took anything here. The reason why I wouldn't have took anything in this area is because, and I'm being very honest, even though it moved, I wouldn't have took anything. Because look at this area. It just looks like complete consolidation. You could say it looks like that in hindsight, but look what I look for consolidation. Break down, break up, we break up, we break down, and basically we're just moving sideways in one area. Remember how I said I don't like when price is moving sideways in one area. So it was up, down, up, down, up, down. So it's just so compacted in one area. So basically this whole area right here. So I'm gonna basically highlight the consolidation area because I don't want price near that at all. Yeah, so basically it doesn't look good as of yet. Probably need like more of a move lower because I needed to pause on the 10 and 20, but at the same time, if it pauses on the 10 and 20, it's coming back into the consolidation right here, right? So it's gonna be like a bit. It could be a part of it, like basically it snaps back and then continues. So I could wait for a move, a little bit more of a move out of it, then it pauses, and then it can look more clean in terms of like the structure that's happening. Put it in like how long do I think that would take? It's 10:22, 7 minutes, maybe. I'll put it in blue for now to so it can like have more clarity. Yeah. Then Bitcoin even this time frame is bullish. Yeah, I said I wasn't paying attention to it because there's just clash of alignment with time frames and stuff like that. There's no clarity in that. The USD just following the cycle on the daily. Look, there was probably some great like I'll say great 4 hour opportunities right here. Oh yeah, there were great 4 hours opportunities because I ended up taking something right here, but me personally, I wouldn't take this entry right here anymore. It would be more of like it pauses, so this right? No, there wouldn't have been anything in here. But yeah, just waiting for let me see what Euro USD doing. So basically, I'm just waiting for that breakout. Not waiting for the breakout, but the anticipation by it pausing. So it just means that I gotta wait. this candle closes in 4 minutes, and then I gotta wait. So I'm basically anticipating the breakout of this area. This candle's pulling back, but we need this candle to close. So basically the same thing. So if I was to pick, basically, like if whichever one could like basically set up first, but yeah, I would say your USD looks more clean. You got this cycle. Just waiting. Let me also see if there is a potential opportunity for my challenge. As I could tell, it's probably like moving in line. Nah. The only thing I don't like is this right here. So we have previous consolidation right here, and then popped out, and we came back in. So honestly, I wouldn't really trust trading in here because of how close this consolidation wasn't like a clear move. If you get what I'm saying, so it's probably gonna like consolidate. It still can do something. This is from my like challenge perspective because I can tell like you know we got the 1 hour moving in line with a clear cycle going on right here. Flush, so moving higher, validation. Let me see what was We flush, created one, two, probably like three. Consider this like the whole thing three, maybe four. At the same time, I wouldn't trade this area. It doesn't look as clear to me. Yeah, because even if it like moved up, paused nicely on the 10 or 20, it's just the fact that prior action right here was just moving sideways. Mm, nah, it had its first opportunity to make the setup, so it made the setup right here because it flushed to the 50, made that impulse, paused on the 10 20. I think this would have been like a break even based on stops and based on where it went. And it had one opportunity, so I'm trading this for like my challenge basically. So I'm just looking at seeing if I find like challenge opportunities. This actually looks pretty good. Like it's pausing, but if we can pause a little bit closer at 10 or 20, probably the lower time frame will look clean. So let me see what's going on here. Now this isn't like really more consolidation. This is more of like structure moving away. So if we can have if price doesn't like if it ends up like then dropping right here, like something like this, let me show y'all what I mean. If price ends up like then chopping around in the like middle like this, more like this, then I can like be like okay, then it's potential. What the hell? It's starting more of like a consolidation. So what I would want for price to do is like just flush down clearly right there. Just in one like no sideways action, no playing around, and then immediately create the setup. One chance, basically one chance. And stuff like if it fails or it hits me at break even, then there's not going to be another opportunity because you know of what I'm expecting for the area. Yep. okay for the challenge. Maybe I should just trade the 15 so it's so much easier so I don't have to keep switching between it. Because this stuff just it does work with like just any time frame. Maybe I should trade the 15 for the challenge. I'm thinking about let me just continue with the one. Okay, it took out the high, so it's not doing it very good. It actually didn't. Wait, did it? Yeah, it took out the high. So I have to wait for you movement down. Let me put an alert right here. Basically, about alert at the 10. So basically, I put an alert right there. Just for my challenge, and then yeah, I didn't like how this was setting up here. Like if this right here was happening and it wasn't like consolidated previously right here, this would be like a good move. Even though this can still work out, but me personally, I'm just gonna skip over it. Cause look at it, it moved higher, it made the pause. It's pausing against the 10 and 20 didn't break through, and then that would be just basically the entry, like just the high, and then you just do quick break events as a 1-to-1 or just a fractal structure before the 1-to-1. Either one is fine. But yeah, I'll just through, seeing how this candle closes in the next 15 minutes as well. And on top of that, yeah, there's nothing to do with this as well because, like I said, I need price to break low right here so it can create a new range. The high would probably be, if it can break right now, the high would probably be adjusted to this high right here. Yeah, probably this high. Unless we make another pullback before taking it out. Okay. Yeah, this is like what I wanted to see when I was talking about USD CAD. Was yeah, we started the cycle and we started breaking out of this higher time frame range because you got to remember the higher time frame. This yeah, this flushed and we paused nicely. We paused at the on 10, but based on the action right here, we was consolidating. We want to trade on the 5 minute. So I needed more of a move out of here to prove that it's really like, okay, it's not going to snap back in the range and end up consolidating again. So that's just my own thought process. So what am I waiting for now is, since it's more out of the range, if we can kind of like pause by that 10 nicely, and then we just create the setup immediately. Now it's moving much more. If we can create the setup immediately, no, nothing playing around, then that's good. Well, let me put this in green as well, just so I can like say, okay, these three do look good. Sounds like what I'm waiting for. 9 minutes for this to close. So same time we have the low right here. So it's not gonna be ready as well. Yeah, so price is just still moving higher, so it's just nothing to do yet. Nothing to do yet. created a nice opportunity right here. Now it was out of that consolidation range. Yeah. Trying to do, we just waiting. So I do still think I could wait. Because typically I could tell whether I should wait on the charts or should I end the stream early, depending. And the reason why I feel like I can wait is worth it to wait is because it's 10:56 right now. I'm usually gonna end up coming off the charts around like just 12, and stuff like that. So we're on a 30-minute chart. We're just waiting for like basically this candle to print and then a pause. That's all that comes back. So we can look for entries. So that will take around. So this closes at 11. The next candle should print at 11:30. So I'm gonna give it one chance to do something because at that point, if it doesn't, it takes out the high. Then at that point, it will be 12 o'clock, and then I have to wait for the confirmation as well. So that's how I basically think whether I should like leave the charts or whether should I stay a little bit longer. So, and if you notice, like basically all these my entries just align with every single time frame. So if you notice this right here, so this cycles right here. So we have the flush, we have the so this is the first move out of the area. This pauses on the 10 right here around it. So that like the first fractal break because it has a high, paused, moved higher, right? Even though there's another one right here, it's so close to the previous one where I would consider this whole thing one, right? And then we're moving in line with the overall story of the market. So even though I was right about the direction, it doesn't mean I will get a trade. You know what I mean? It's all about just following the rules. Okay. So, so the good thing about this is if it just takes out the high immediately, I can just end the stream. Because at that point, you know, oh what? Oh, it looked like a wick for real. I looked down and then I looked up and it looked like a wick for real. Look at it. I was like, oh, I swear it didn't take out the high. But basically, if it takes out the high like that, I'm basically gonna end the stream because then at that point I would have to wait another 30 minutes, and at that point it would be 12. So what I'm doing is waiting for that pause, and as long as it can come down, I'm good. Okay, specifically for this, I don't need to basically watch. Wait, hold on. Actually, we did pause. So we basically paused. Oh, that's not a wick. Oh, we didn't pause. I need to stop doing that. Alright, so basically I could stop watching this one because it took out the low. Basically. USD CAD didn't take out the low, so I could still watch this. Yeah, I wasn't watching gold. Okay, there we go. So far as plug back nicely. This one is having more of a closer pullback. Yeah, I like this. What's up, man? not doing anything with wow. Said maybe something like for a challenge, maybe in the lower time frame. Oh yeah. This looks worth taking something for my challenge specifically. Again, I don't count these challenge trades or anything, but for my funded accounts, I'm only doing 5 minute entries, but I know how to switch between time frames. So just in case anybody has questions about that, I might miss this entry because it's basically, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna enter a challenge trade real quick. Uh, If it can set up, if it doesn't set up, I can cancel the order. Something like this set up. Nah, it's not ready yet. If we can get another candle that prints and pauses it, then I can explain right after. Like that. 11. That seems about right. So it's just a buy stop, regular buy stop. Again, it's a challenge. I don't count the challenges. I'm doing a series on YouTube where I'm documenting me doing the challenges. These live streams are just to show my performance over the like year with trading the funded accounts. I don't see no opportunities for funded account yet. I'm gonna set this buy stop if we can pause right there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right, I got a buy stop just set right there. Um, yeah, I don't really care about that. Okay, I got triggered in. So I'm gonna record this part real quick because I'm doing a series for YouTube for this. All right, what's up, y'all? I got an entry for my challenge right here. I'm gonna manage it accordingly. Same rules at each time. 1-to-1 break even, which is at. So I'm gonna move my stops to break even like this. Everything happens so quick. So I have break even for this challenge right now. So we're just gonna let the rules play out. So the reason why I took that trade is similar to my 5 minute entries because price moves is fractal on all time frames basically. So let me show y'all what I'm basically looking at. So overall on the daily time frame, we're overall bullish. I look to get for a potential trend. We're overall bullish with the cycle. So we flushed under the MAs, and what we had here was basically um price moved higher, paused against the MAs, and I'm continuing a move. I'm expecting a continuation higher, basically. So um if we go on the 1 hour time frame, which would be the context time frame for a 1 minute entry, we had the same thing. We flushed and we're starting to move. If we go on like a 6 minute, 5 minute, what we have here is we have a move. We have one. This is our validation. We have one, two, potentially three, and a fourth. So it's good to take an entry. Then we go on the 5 minute. Instead of consolidating, we have a nice range. We just move down nicely and we just create the setup immediately, which is what I was talking about. And I just break even immediately at a 1-to-1. So the management I've been testing right now, which was actually really good, was just trailing it with the full position, not taking any partials. Because I noticed in the long run I would make way more money if I just trail with the 10 and close the trade if it's at least a 2R. So if it closes above like at least a 2 hour, I'll close the trade. And it's similar to what I used to do of waiting for three candles on the validation time frame. Because if you look at these streams, this will be the first candle, this will be the second candle, and wherever the third candle closes, as if it's at least above a 2R, take the partial. I noticed it's similar to basically trailing with the 10, which can make more even more profit depending, especially if I'm holding the full position. So I'm gonna hold the full position, and I'm not caring where it's at. So even though I'm up like 4R already on this trade, I don't care necessarily at all. And the reason why I don't care is because I have rules to get something bigger. So if you notice as well, like I'm, I, damn, this move happened so fast. I'm supposed to jot down the trade. What was I talking about? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the bar replay mode right here, just so I can like get the entry, copy, download, and then I'm gonna just input it like a little bit later. Just like yesterday, I inputted that challenge trade later, but I just document the trades I take, even if it's a challenge, because you can always improve. You can improve and make sure you're being as consistent as possible during your own back testing by doing this. So why did this necessarily make a move right here? Like, why did I take this trade even though I'm expecting like I was expecting a 5 minute entry down here? It's because of what Price was doing. So usually, if Price was not gonna hold this area, basically, Price would have just not like created a setup right here. It would have just it would have just flushed through or played around and then flushed down deeper, which would have matched with where the 5 minute area right here to create a potential setup. The structure needs to happen on all time frames. It just ended up stopping right here. So let me just make sure I'm managing this accordingly. The 2R, let me put in where I am for the 2Rs right around here. So as long as it does, if it breaks that 10, which is the black line, that's what I'm just gonna drill it. So I'm just basically watching it right now with y'all because it's on a 1 minute, so everything is happening faster. And one thing too, I don't ever expect to pass a challenge in one single trade or anything like that. I only did that ever once, and that was when I decided to be more of like a have management styles to catch up like a trend. Only did that once, but I never expected the market to give me that much percentage because it gave me a huge amount. Like I was in I think a tiny bit of drawdown, but that one no, I don't even think I was. It was just the first trade I took. Yeah, it was the first trade I took that passed the FXify, and it was even with partials. It was just one partial. I forgot where it was, maybe like a 2 or 3R partial, which was like around 1 or 1.5R when you take 50%. And then the rest one, I just trailed with what was the 10 on the validation time frame. But yeah, yeah. So it's just like sometimes things like that happen. Sometimes it just comes back to break even. But I gotta accept it even though it's up this much. Um my goal is just to close it, particularly if it gets to that basically 10% mark, because at that point I would have passed phase one. But it is easy to like potentially get it because of what I started to do was making my stops more smaller because what I noticed about the winners. Yeah, so I'm just waiting to potentially close it at 10 R if it does. But other than that, I'm just following the management rules to see what it does. And I was at 4R. So 4R puts it right there. I would need around, because I'm trying to see if I was to set a take profit, where would it need to be? Like a set take profit. So I'm in drawdown uh 4 point. Is my stop loss even at break even for real? 11, 7, and 11. Oh, 11, 7, 11. Yeah, it was not even at break even. Where's the? Oh, I'm tripping. I'm like, I didn't even notice I was still in bar replay mode. I'm like, why hasn't price moved? I am tripping. Basically, I'm still holding. Either I get the rule to close, or I hold it to or it hits the area I want I pass. So as long as it, what would I need to be? So it's up 2% right now. So I risked about 1%. It's up around. I'm trying to up around. let me just do basic math. Where's my balance? Wow, this trade is going crazy. Let me do some basic math real quick. Based on my drawdown, I'm at my and then what I need to pass. Calculator. Then I gotta be on it when it if it ends up breaking. But basically, 96,369. Nine. Even add them cents. 46. So I would need around 13,630, which is around like probably like 14%. So I'm gonna set my take profit at 14%, but I'm still closing based on rules because this is just a challenge I just happened to get in. So I think 14%, something like that. 11, 222, 1.12, 226. Nah, I don't think that's enough. No, that's not enough. 12, 13, 13. That's 12, 313. Oh, 12. I think this should give me, and this is way more than enough, but I can still close it when I need to. So I'm gonna save this as the take profit right here. And then I'm gonna watch it potentially. So I know around 2% would be around like $2,000 around it, somewhere around there. I know around 13 if it gets there. Okay, so I'm watching the price right now. Is it gonna respect or? And at this point, I know there's no opportunities for my what's it called, my funded account specifically because it had its chance basically, and it didn't do anything. And from this area, it just ended up respecting the 6 minute validation instead of reaching the area for the 30-minute validation. You know, it was crazy. I would have been better off if I traded the other account because I'm up on the other account. But it is what it is. I'm trying to just rotate the account since I can't trade it on a copy trader because they took away that ability on Mass Trader, unfortunately. But this is the exact same thought process I use when I'm entering trades for the account. It doesn't matter how you manage it; you just find the best way. So this is the management I like so far. Wow. So around 13,600 is what I 630 is what I need specifically. Wow. Let me get close. Alright, it's reversing a little bit. So again, if you just came in, this is just a challenge trade. Because I didn't find no actual trade for my funded accounts, and I'm basically just managing it with my rules. I'm not looking to get this actually. I'm just letting price the market give me what I want, and that's how I personally have an edge in the market. I just let my winners, if it wants to run, it's gonna show me that based on what my winners usually look like. So I wonder if I'm not sure if I'm gonna pass it on live stream. If I pass it live on live stream, I'll have more capital to just trade with. But that's just by following the process because you watch the wow, it's really going. So it's almost there's if you watch the live streams, you just know that I take my normal wins, losses, break evens, and just follow the rules. So I'm still eyeing it based on the rules. So if it closes below that 10, I'll close it. I'm still eyeing it, but I still have to eye it at the same time for the profit target. I hope y'all can see the similarities in what I talk about for entries. Like I took a the same type of entry for gold yesterday on my challenge. It's so close there. I took the same type of entry for my own challenge yesterday for gold. Oh, the equity is at oh no way. Y'all saw that, bruh. I missed it by a little bit. Wow. I missed it by a little bit. It's okay. I'm done. I'm gonna just have to show up another time because wow, that's completely my fault on that because um I just saw it get hit because I was like I calculated 13,000. I needed to close it at 13,600. I needed to close it at yeah. I counted 13,000, but I did see it, and I was like, "Oh shoot, is there?" And then it like pulled back a decent amount. So my plan is basically what I'm gonna do is tomorrow I'm gonna actually look for another setup because I'm actually done for the day. And plus for my own funded accounts, what I was waiting for was for price to make around this area where I found this 1 minute trade. I was waiting for price to make a deeper pullback to do the same type of setup, basically just on a different time frame. Um, but it but it didn't end up doing it. So yeah, I'm gonna wait tomorrow. I'm gonna risk really small because I don't have much to hit the actual profit target. And if I can actually hit the profit target, we will be $300,000 funded. But I'm gonna I'm gonna end up ending the live stream, and then I'm gonna show up tomorrow, show you my funded account, show y'all that I stayed disciplined and I didn't trade outside of the stream because that's the purpose of this. And yeah,